Hi, my name is Roland Sozoliņš. I'm a business growth strategist and trainer at IBD Consulting. I made this video in beginning of July for subscribers of my newsletter, and now I'm making it public. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. So what you will learn, and do note that I will prepare chapters for each of those topics in the video. I will publish video on YouTube, so feel free to jump to chapter of your interest. So first of all, we will look at general trends, what's happening in IT service industry this year, what Gartner says about forecasts, where businesses are going to spend money and so on. Then we will take a bit of look at IT service businesses across Europe, at a bit longer term picture. Next, we will proceed to figuring out what guys like Accenture, data services, companies like that, large service providers do, how their business is going, because it's a good indicator of industry in general. And then we will look at the very opposite end of scale, how small scale project sales go through Fiverr and Upwork. Then we'll continue to take a look at where does venture capital goes, because venture capital typically is something that finances quite a bit of software development industry. Then we'll take a look at the job market, what's going on, because again, the reason somebody quite often purchases IT services is because they don't have skills in-house, or they cannot afford to have skills in-house. Then I will talk about the most exciting thing that I have seen, I think, ever in my life. Basically the biggest IT service opportunity ever. I will share my best recommendations how to basically make money with this opportunity. But let us start with the big picture. So, big picture. So what's happening? What large analysts like Gartner tells us about IT service market. So Gartner says they expect 9% market growth this year. That's for IT services in general. And specifically, they say that they expect out of that 14% growth for software. So for those of you who are in software development space, congratulations, this thing it seems to be growing globally. However, if we look what's behind the spending, generative AI is the major investment driver. It's all about AI. And for AI to run, for AI to work, you also need infrastructure. So there's also quite a lot of investment still in cloud infrastructure. You need to enable AI, right? You need to prepare data infrastructure so that AI has actually something to work with. And actually, it does not necessarily mean that money is going in all cases to Gen AI apps. And actually, approximately 30% of AI projects are failing, and they are failing because of poor quality of underlying data, right? So data services, helping customers make sense of their data, manage data, govern data, right, is quite a big business as well. AI at the moment is moving from kind of experimentation stage to monetization. However, we are not there because all the investment goes into infrastructure. However, really large companies like the same OpenAI, Microsoft and others, they really don't know where or how to monetize AI. So they're building up data centers, reactivating nuclear reactors to get electricity, but they don't know yet how to monetize, which seems quite interesting to me. All right, so let's continue where people are going, or let's say where customers are going to spend money. And here a bit similarly. So most of money is going into artificial intelligence, machine learning, including Gen AI, right? So generally market, and this is actually the source is Boston Consulting Group. That's a large consultant, really visible, right? That comes from their survey. So companies are expected to increase significantly spending in artificial intelligence, machine learning. Also, quite a lot of spending goes into cloud services, right? Security infrastructure, analytics, and analytics is a big thing because again, it's quite tightly related to AI, because you can only use AI in your company if you actually have underlying data. If your AI can work with the data you have, so that's a big service area. And then quite significant area is also app development, DevOps, integration, things like that, because one of the key beneficiaries of AI is actually developers. So DevOps, you can increase your productivity by estimated 30%, and that's really big thing, and there's also quite a lot of interests. Now, if you look at other end of spectrum, spending is going down for on-premise server infrastructure, also devices, IT operations management, and other things which you can actually see on the screen. Before I continue, I would like you to really like this video and also feel free to comment. And most important, do subscribe to IBD Consulting's YouTube channel, because we are, if you look at videos we have already published, it's a treasure trove of knowledge of marketing and sales and B2B markets, in technology markets and so on. And also we are releasing quite a bit of new content regularly. So make sure you subscribe and let's continue. All right, let's now take a look at area closer to where we live, closer to my heart, right? I feel proud Eastern European, right? So let's take a look what's happening in Central Eastern and Southern Europe. And guess what? Here is a very interesting tool, and it shows basically developers' salary map. This is median salary, right? And you can see that there's quite a big difference in terms of how much developers are getting, right? And if you click on each of countries, you can also see number of data points, and generally this shows you where are the highest salaries. Generally, north part of Europe is more expensive, so developers get paid more than south, and I'm quite surprised, like why developers get paid so little in countries like Italy, Greece, elsewhere in south. So, but my point is that there is significant difference in what developers get paid all across Europe. And if we look at this, it would suggest that probably at least companies can make quite good profit, because in free market they can sell their services wherever they want. However, this really is not the case. Here is a graph from Eurostat data. This is value added per employee, thousands per year. And value added basically is something that remains after costs have been paid, things like salary, I don't know, equipment, office, taxes, what have you. So basically it's just like profit. So for sake of simplicity, we can say it's a profit, right? And if we look at different categories of IT services, we see huge difference, right? And the biggest difference here, if we take a look at first software development column, is that actually, if we compare to North Macedonia, right, then in Belgium, actually, value added per employee is what like six, maybe 8 times bigger, right? The difference is huge, right? Difference is really massive. In my country, Latvia, actually, value added per developer is more than 2 times less than Austria, more than 3 times less than Belgium, right? So why is it? Why on earth? How can it happen if we all live in one market? Most of us have single currency, there's free flow of goods and services across borders. What on earth is going on, right? And my answer is actually quite simple, and that's what I came to believe after, interactions with quite a lot of software development company. The key reason I believe is because we don't know how to market and sell. There are, of course, other reasons like internal inflow of EU funding, right? It makes life quite comfortable. A lot of professionals are happy to be employees instead of taking risks and becoming entrepreneurs. But the main reasons, I believe, is lack of systemic approach. So basically, companies don't have repeatable systems, lack of marketing, sales, product knowledge, inability to sell directly to buyers, inability to justify the value of service, and so on. So the question obviously is, okay, but can it be helped? And I strongly believe yes. I invite you to join 6 weeks masterclass for founders and CEOs of software development companies. You will transform your company into growing and highly profitable business, and you will have more business than you can handle. That's guaranteed. But don't just take my word for it. Visit the website in description and watch the video case study featuring Sandi Slončak from Kodofas, that's a Croatian software development company, who successfully transformed his business using my approach. This masterclass is not your typical training program, because you will receive unlimited one-to-one personal coaching directly with me. And because of this highly personalized support, also participant slots are strictly limited. Visit the website in description now and schedule the free initial coaching call. Over this call, we will discuss whether the masterclass is the right fit for your situation. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Just note that eligibility is restricted to founders and CEOs of software development companies. No marketing manager, no sales directors. Founders and CEOs only. Talk to you soon. Alright, now let's talk a bit of what big guys do, like companies like Accenture's, Tata Consulting Services, etc., etc. So, I did a number of things. I basically looked up financial statements of all these companies as, let's say, cross-sections representing large service providers. I downloaded their annual reports and financial statements, quarterly statements, and so on. And obviously, this analysis would take hours, if not for AI. So AI is a big thing, also for me personal. But let's get back to big boys. So generally, what we see that growth is rather weak and customers are slow with customer decision making. Environment in general, including economic and everything, is mixed and quite uncertain. So some of guys are making progress. They have revenue growth, like Accenture, Cognizant is growing quite okay. Infosys not too much. Tata basically negative growth if we consider the inflation, because if we look at growth year over year, we have to consider inflation. If everything is getting more expensive and you are growing less, you are not really growing, right? And Tieto, every basically company most working in Northern Europe, in Scandinavia, is actually having less revenue than a year ago. So where customers of these companies are investing? Basically, they say they are investing in AI, cloud, data, cybersecurity. So this is where I would say large companies are investing. And they say that AI is the primary revenue driver for them. If we look geographically, North America, largest market, it's growing market. And Europe is mixed. So in Europe, actually, if we look at Tieto, these are guys who are making huge revenue per head. Actually, this is annual revenue per employee, right? This is huge. However, they are mostly relying on revenue in Nordic countries, and Nordic countries are cutting public spending. So basically, something has to give. Somebody has to pay for army, for new tanks, new hardware, and so on. Right? War is expensive thing, right? So picture in Europe again is quite mixed. One thing I want to pay your attention to, and this is actually annual revenue per employees, right? And except for Tieto, I don't know how to pronounce it. I mean, maybe somebody can write in comments. Tieto every, right? Except for those guys, the annual revenue per employee which these guys are making is not much. It's really not much, and I believe most of my listeners right now can easily make more than that. And actually, I know for a fact that one company in Latvia who's working only in local market, but in commercial market, in competition, is actually making more than 100,000 per employee, right? So this is really achievable things. You just need to know how. All right. So now we looked at what real big guys are doing. Let's look at small guys. So how do we look at small guys? We take a look of what's going on with large, like freelancer and gig platforms like Upwork and Fiverr. So what's happening? And generally what's happening is stagnation. Growth of these platforms is actually less than inflation. So basically they're not growing. It's stagnation. They report, both of them report that they have less active clients who are purchasing anything on these platforms. And also they say that demand has shifted towards more complex services. So not easy stuff, not simple stuff, really complex stuff. And also demand shifts very much to AI related services. So one thing that I want you to pay attention is how much is the take-in rate or commission that both of these platforms are charging. And actually this is huge. This is outrageous. Fiverr is taking 27.4%, Upwork almost 20%. And this is huge. And why is this huge? Because I know for the fact, I know from the data from my own experience that for companies to sell directly to international customers, it costs less than 20%, less than 10%, right? Typically on average, companies in technology sector spend around from 8 to 11% on marketing. That's it, right? Fiverr, as we see, is charging like 3 times more. So it does make every sense to invest in knowledge, in know-how, and set up your own marketing. All right, so what these guys tell about AI? So what they are saying is that in general there's demand for AI. It's increased demand, and people are looking actually for AI talent for complex and long-term projects. So this is not something like ad hoc projects. They look for long-term relationship. Doing things like model training and tuning, integrating LLM models into new products, and also building AI-powered workflows across various departments. And what is important, really you should pay attention, is that they report that AI-related work basically is getting 40% more. The price is 40% more. So if you are dealing with AI, you can charge more, right? That's important point to remember and consider, right? Simple IT service is on decline, so basically there's no demand anymore. What is interesting that despite AI advancements also in design space, there's no disruption seen in design services, right? So still freelancers and small companies can sell their services. And if you look in general, higher value AI-related IT services that require complex human oversight and complex project management are in strong demand. So simple things are going away and complex things stay. And if these things are related to AI, you can charge premium. It's a hot market, and we will explore that a bit later as well. All right, now let's take a look of what's happening with startup funding. So if you look at startup global investment, good news is that investment is actually up again. So investment is growing, right? So after peak few years ago, there was a big drop. Suddenly there was interest rate on money and free money was not available anymore. But now it's growing. However, if we take a bit closer look and if we pay attention where exactly it is growing, then we see that it's actually all going in AI. So if you look at non-AI investments, right, it's actually not growing. It's basically either flat or on decline. So all money is going into AI and not to Europe, right? So in Europe, generally, if you look over time, investment in venture capital is basically flat. And this data is based on Crunchbase and previous data as well. Crunchbase is a really large resource, really large database which is tracking venture capital investments and what's happening in that area. Now, if we look at Europe, one thing is clear that Europe, unfortunately, is badly lagging behind with AI. Only 10% of global talent, and most of those people are in UK and quite possibly a lot of them have already migrated over to US because there's quite a big fight for talent, and we will explore what's happening what's going on in job market as well a bit later. However, if we just return back a bit to venture capital in Europe, and if we take a look where venture capital is getting invested, health, fintech, enterprise software, other fields. Like fintech probably is an area to tackle. That requires quite a lot of IT services, quite a lot of software development work. Health, I wouldn't think so. I would imagine that mostly this venture capital funding goes into funding drug tests, things like that, not necessarily technology. All right. Now, another thing which can tell us what goes on in IT services industry is to take a look at what happens in job market, because basically IT service industry is very tightly related to job market. If you are in this industry, you can sell your services if customer either don't have employees who could do that, or they have too little employees, or employees are maybe more expensive than your service from outside. So let's take a look at jobs. With jobs, there are quite a lot of layoffs in big tech, and actually it's continuing for quite a while. Just recently, a lot of people I know have been let go from Microsoft, but that's not for the first time. So tech is getting rid of employees, and if we look at hiring is down as well. So again, this is an index basically tracking 2020, right? And if we see at hiring of software development jobs, then basically Australia is holding surprisingly well. The demand is actually higher than 3 years back, but the rest of markets are doing quite bad, with probably worst situation in the United United Kingdom. So in terms of jobs, there's not too many good news. Meanwhile, AI is reported to provide 30% developer productivity gain at Salesforce. Satya Nadella a few days ago said that as much as 30% of Microsoft code is already written by AI. And this AI wave also means that quite a lot of companies are just, waiting out before they make hiring decisions. So they want to see how the cards play out and what will be impact of AI. Except for senior talent, like senior developers are in strong demand everywhere, and also except for AI experts. And if we talk about AI, sometimes it goes to ridiculous heights with news of Zuckerberg even be willing to pay 100 million signing bonus for world-class AI experts. So sounds exciting. Maybe it's time to get in AI. All right, now let's take a closer look actually at AI opportunity. Right, let's get serious here. Now, here is a AI priority study by a company called Foundry. It was acquired, if memory serves, by Gartner, so it's serious consultants. And the survey was done on global level, covering also Europe. So where AI investments are going to? And first place, improving customer support and services. Second, a bit difficult to understand what exactly goes here, enabling innovation, new product development, expanding revenue opportunities, etc., etc. You can read it yourself. However, one thing that I pay attention to is improving customer support and services. That's the biggest opportunity. I believe that's also the easiest to enter. Basically, you can build a demo overnight. I mean, I know 18 years old kid of my college classmate actually is selling AI-based automation services to US company right now, right, as we speak. I know that I am myself using low-code platforms to create AI-based solutions whenever I need to do some advanced marketing automation or customer research and so on. So this is a big opportunity, right? All right, but let's go further. What prevents companies moving ahead with AI? And number one is lack of in-house expertise for design or deployment. Second thing is business case, competing priorities, etc., etc. But again, I want to turn your attention that first limitation is actually in-house expertise. So it means there's place to sell services. All right, next thing, what's happening in terms of what companies are doing right now, right? Here, this chart is basically divided in two things. So the blue lines relate to companies with employee size of over 1,000, so basically large companies, right? And then this pink one, red one, right? It's companies below 1,000 employees, so basically SMBs, right? And SMBs generally are researching AI technology, so they have their eyes opened, their mind open, right? Ears up, and they are willing to listen. They're willing to research, they're willing to attend your webinars, they're willing to go to conferences, etc., etc. They're willing to figure out what to do with AI. And because there's such big interest, there's also an opportunity, right? Again, if we return to the same graph, part of companies are piloting new initiatives, right? And large companies are even upgrading AI technologies. But the big thing is that smaller companies have their radars up, they are investigating. It's very fertile ground in terms of marketing to help them understand how they can better use AI with your own services. Next thing, good news. Actually, half of companies, so this yes part, right? Half of companies actually have already budget earmarked for AI-related projects. So not only they are very interested, they also have a budget. So basically, it's a perfect situation for sellers, right? Absolutely perfect situation. You don't see this often. What else? Another data point, and this is again research from Boston Consulting Group. They asked in which of the following categories your company is looking to consolidate IT systems or suppliers. So basically, a lot of companies are tired of managing tens, maybe hundreds of different suppliers. They want to have less of them. However, good news is that this does not relate to artificial intelligence, right? They are willing to expand the number of companies they work with. And this is again one great data point because they are open to work with companies from wherever in the world. Simply there is shortage of skills, right? This is big opportunity. Similarly with analytics, less so with security infrastructure, but still, and the rest you can read yourself. So just to summarize what data shows. Data shows that there is really great interest in AI. We also know from data about Upwork, about Fiverr, that generally 40% premium is paid for AI skills, and 40% is that's a big money. I mean, if you can charge 40% more, that probably increases your profit, what, 5 times easily, right? SMB companies are in stage of researching AI. Companies have money for AI and they are happy to consider new suppliers, right? So like perfect situation. Now let me talk about my personal experience with AI, because my company IBD Consulting was running like over 60 webinars in last 12 months, and we were trying all kinds of different topics all across EMEA region, right? And I can tell you from my own experience that super hot topic. AI is absolutely super hot topic. AI in general, like answering questions, how to use AI in business, how to use AI in specific industry. Then AI agents, very hot topic. AI for software development, things like how to use GitHub Copilot, things like that, super hot, huge interest. Then AI agents, how to use AI agents based on company's own data. And then of course, because AI use depends on the proper management of data, proper data governance, right? And also quite hot topics are advanced and AI infused analytics and also data governance. So my personal experience tells me that getting attention, or basically getting people sign up, generate leads, getting people to participate in webinar is extremely easy. So we have had cases with over 1,000 persons registered to webinars in some countries, right? And that was a challenge of its own, how to handle it. We also noticed that the marketing costs are super low, right? You can get, I mean, cost per lead, cost per registration is as low as €5. That's super cheap, right? Because there's huge interest. And also you get quite likely hundreds of participants to your webinars. All right, and generally speaking, I would say that this is very big opportunity. This is like inflection point. So this is a moment when new players can enter the market, right? This is a moment when there's no requirements for real experience, because AI is new. You cannot have like 10 years experience with implementing LLM or AI chatbots, right? So everybody can do it. And as I mentioned, even kids are building solutions, and I do as well, right? Myself, not being exactly software developer or technical person. And basically to sell you, all you need really is just AI demo, let's say for the use case in customer service, which you can actually build overnight, right? And that's all that's required to just go ahead and enter this business. So, ladies and gentlemen, my best advice as of July this year. So first of all, as you probably expect already, I say get into AI business, or if not directly in AI, get into data management, infrastructure for cloud, so that cloud can be used in relation to AI. AI in your own solutions, like all of you have some previous customers. Why don't you have conversation with them how to implement AI in solutions you developed for them already? They would be willing to listen, right? And obviously, if you can create industry solution briefs, not really demos or not really solution, but just solution briefs, right? That will open doors to conversations. And practically, just prepare simple demo, make webinar. That's a simple thing to do, real simple. If you need help, let me know. Get leads and sell. Start selling, right? Because again, this is a unique opportunity when you can charge premium price, you can get directly in touch with international customers. This thing is super hot, and it would be actually not a wise decision not to use this opportunity, even if you are in your business not too close to AI. You certainly can find some kind of links, some way how to talk about AI in context of your business.